Telstra customers wanting to deal with local operators at call centres will be slugged a fee to speak to an Australian. The option for Telstra's messaging MEMO service was installed following public backlash about calls being diverted to foreign call centres. To talk more about this, joining me on the line is Christopher ZINN from Choice. Christopher, good morning to you.
Morning, Terry.
So as I understand it, this MEMO service is a bit like the old telegram where you ring an operator at Telstra and say, please send this message to Bill Smith, and they take the message down and then send it off. Is that right?
Yeah, look, I haven't seen details of it as yet, but what we would say, and I'm sure all customers, is that good customer service should come for free. It's not something you pay extra for, and there's been widespread dissatisfaction with foreign call centres. That's not to say there's not very good Indian call centres, or wherever they are. But really, communications is the key problem with telecommunications companies, ironically enough. So they really shouldn't be charging more to give people a good service. That should actually come for free, bundled into the service.
So it's not advertised apparently, but there is a deal where if you want to speak to a real-life Australian, you pay a little extra and they'll let you speak to one.
Yeah, again, it just sounds like more of this situation where the telcos are not understanding basic customer service, despite the fact that they say that this is something they excel at. I've just been at the National Consumer Congress, and we had the Telecoms Industry Ombudsman saying that really some 70 or 80% of the tens of thousands of complaints she deals with are all about communications, issues like this. So really it'll be interesting to see more of the detail of this, but if it's anything like Telstra's announcement next week that they tried to slip through this increase of billing on landlines from 1-second blocks to 30-second blocks, we'd hope that they'd see a bit more sense.
Yeah, so they're virtually saying, we have a service which is pretty ordinary and we'll charge you for that, but if you really want it to work, we'll charge you some more and you speak to an Australian.
Yeah, exactly. Look, this is the kind of service you might expect in a bad restaurant where you pay more to go in a room where they'll lavish you a bit more extensively. The point is, if you go into a restaurant or sign up with a telco, there should be a basic level of service which is adequate, which is what people both expect and deserve. And if they're trying to sucker you into paying more for basic service, that is not a move that we would either applaud or encourage, and I'm sure that goes for most people as well.
Well, apparently business clients have signed up for this scheme, and it's revealed the Victorian government had calls being answered in Manila, which just seems pretty strange, doesn't it?
Well, it does. As I've said, there are some good overseas call centres, and they do help save money, which is a good thing for businesses. But when those call centres do not come into scratch in delivering the service people expect, that is not good enough. So, look, we would just say to the telcos, and it's not just the telcos, it's the banks as well, leaving people hanging on the line for 30 minutes before answering, getting people to press more numbers than a calculator in Meltdown to try and speak to someone wherever they be on the globe really isn't good enough. You need to address this issue sensibly and do it by providing good service, not charging an exclusive price to exclusive customers.
And how do customers get their rights addressed in circumstances such as this, where you're being asked to pay extra to speak to an Australian to get a service that might work?
Look, ultimately with this kind of deal, I'm afraid that it's consumers have to vote with their feet and move to providers who provide good common sense, good value service. And again, no one's going to move from Telstra just because of this, but when we get a number of different issues taking place, as it becomes easier to switch providers, be they banks or telcos, consumers really need to be a bit more adversarial, and we can certainly see evidence of this right around the world, certainly the internet making people communities as opposed to isolated individuals, and sending the strongest possible message to the top brass of any corporation that they just won't cope with this anymore.
Yeah, OK, Christopher, thanks for your time on Sky News this morning.
Thank you.